Yo guys, what is going on? My name is DiggityWiggityWaaa, and we gather here today because Coffeezilla has uploaded his second part in the $500 million scam entitled Exposing a $500 million Scam Gets Dangerous. And yeah, let's dive into it.
Covering a $500 million Ponzi scheme called Trader's Domain. In part one, we exposed a web of scammers. We found an ongoing government investigation. But as I spoke to victims, I realized there was someone behind the curtains controlling it all.
And that's when I find out there's this one guy named Ted who's making all the trades and he's running this Ponzi scheme.
We now learn of this savant that is the man behind Trader's Domain. And so this is the first time I ever hear the name Ted Safranco. And I'm like, who the freak is Ted? Who's Ted?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. And I decided the best place to look for answers was starting with the victims. Welcome to part two.
My understanding of who Ted Safranco was at the time I invested was an experienced trader.
He's a master trader with relationships like this all over the world, and he was internationally known and respected.
Very credible Wall Street trader. I know that's bad to, judge a book judge a book off of their cover, but, he just looked like,
So, first of all, I don't know what the hell a master trader is. Like, I didn't know that there was differences between traders on the stock exchange or stock market. I don't know. I just didn't know that. And then the last guy, he's saying, I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but, this guy should be an expert in his field if he's a master trader or he's been around the game a long time. I wonder if it's kind of like being a real estate agent where they would have a license or some kind of accreditation that they could show as proof that they are qualified to handle money or to essentially be investing other people's money in a stock market or Ponzi scheme or whatever. I would think that there's some kind of schooling or some kind of license or certificate or something they would have to get. So I wouldn't call that judging a book by its cover, because this guy, he should be qualified. And I would imagine if you're investing $1 million, you spent, I don't know, 10, 20 grand to look into the guy or look into the project or whatever it is.
like a normal guy, like a Wall Street trader, he didn't seem like the type of guy that would mess you over.
He definitely
What's
looks
it like
your
to learn
average
math
Joe.
on brilliant.org? Brilliant.
There's no question. He looks like your typical guy, no question.
But looking into his real past, everything showed the opposite. He didn't work on Wall Street. He got his start in 2016 when he was the student of a 23-year-old get-rich-quick guru on Instagram named Nino
Learn
Goroff.
from the master.
We know this because of a testimonial he filmed.
Hi everyone, my name is Ted. I've been working around right now with Nino for
I've never
probably
heard of
about
Nino.
6 months. Really what I did is, for 2016, what I tried to do is I really wanted to set myself up nice. Being a little bit older, I've been working for many years now, almost 15 years. I wanted to have a lifestyle.
Oh, it's Canadian money too. That makes sense, right? I mean, if you're in your mid 30s, late 30s, maybe in your 40s, and you really haven't done much with your life in terms of having a life savings or, when you start to get up to that age, I can speak for myself on that. When you get to that age or you start to approach those ages, you start to think, well, when I'm 60 or when I'm 65, how much money am I going to have to take care of myself, my family, whatever it might be? Because at least here in Canada, you have something called CPP pension. And the CPP pension is something you pay into through your employer. But when you become 65, it's really more than likely not going to be enough to live off. So you have a lot of elderly people here or seniors that have got part-time gigs, or they've got something on the side just to be able to cook up enough cash so that they can go to the grocery store. Especially with inflation, I can just imagine how difficult it would be. But that's a lot of Canadian money. That's insane. And that looks pretty damn real to me. That's our new currency.
Change. I wanted to get into
Newer
something
currency.
different to give myself a better opportunity in life.
Makes sense.
And literally, I went
He's a
through
scammer, but
social
makes
media. I found Nino on Instagram. I sort of laughed actually because I saw him with his Lambo and all his fun stuff. And
Whoa.
me being as old as I am now, maybe 37 years old, 36 years old, I couldn't really fathom how somebody was doing what they
Phantom
were
or
doing
fathom?
at such a young age.
Wow. The answer, of course, to Ted's question is that Nino was scamming people with get-rich-quick courses, and Ted soon figured this out. He started his own grift called the Forex Family Course, which eventually led to the launch of his very own Forex brokerage called Traders Domain. Ted said that it would be non-manipulated as opposed to most of the scammy brokerages of the time. And with his business partner, David Negus, they opened their doors in 2018. I found this out because I talked to the roommate at the time who witnessed everything.
So my name's Jonathan Sameta. I was roommates with David Negus at the start of 2018, pretty much for the whole duration of the year. And I witnessed the inception of Traders Domain from the beginning. It was basically run out of the spare bedroom of our house.
That's right. We have an eyewitness who saw the beginning of this. And what he told me is that Traders Domain was originally selling themselves as one of the good guys.
Forex has a lot of shysterness in the industry. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of that.
Sure.
And there's a lot of brokers that have bad reputations, with doing shady dealings. Ted and Dave started this operation under the premise of the good guy and honesty and being for the little guy sort of thing, someone you could trust, which everybody bought. Ted did have a good reputation in the community.
The way they did this was they just...
I wonder if that was actually their intention, almost like Robinhood, not the stock app, but, Robinhood, the guy from the medieval times, where, you take from the rich and give to the poor type thing. He's looking out for the little guy. Or you wonder if it was just a complete sham the entire time. Or maybe their intentions were good, and then once either they weren't making enough money or they got greedy, they wanted more money, they kind of flipped to the scam script. I don't know. To be a fly on the wall, to kind of be able to hear those conversations or see the beginning of the company like this dude would be interesting, because I'm curious where their mind actually was. It's one thing to say that this is your intention. It's another thing altogether with what you actually do. Say as you do as you say type thing.
Described themselves as an A-book brokerage, which I didn't really understand at the time, but basically means they were one of the legitimate ones.
Huh.
Can you just explain really briefly what the difference between A-book and B-book are?
So A-book, your orders are direct to the market.
I've never heard of this.
And B-book, basically the broker takes the opposite side of your trade. So when you lose money, they win. Because most traders lose, so a lot of brokerages go B-book.
You think this guy got fucked over, or do you think this guy got some cash out of it? I'm curious about that too. I mean, he's in the next room. He's got his friends that are kind of starting to run this thing, or his friend that's starting to run this thing. I wonder if he got in on the ground floor, or if he got.
They make money off the trader. They're not. Your orders aren't actually going to the market. It's just the broker basically shamming you.
Okay, to summarize what he said real quick, because it's important. Forex brokers, which are A-book, it just means that your trades are real. B-booking is when the trades are kept in-house and things can be faked. They can be messed with. And this is why Ted said that his brokerage was A-book. He couldn't scam you. And he claimed this...
Like, to me, I interpret that like an A-book is you're operating a computer that's accessing the internet. And a B-book would be like you accessing a computer and you think you're accessing the internet, but really it's like an internal network that has been designed to trick you type thing. That's kind of what I'm
repeatedly
from it.
But the question is that true? With stories of changing trades, I wasn't so sure.
And then all of a sudden, everything magically got erased. And they said, oh, the servers refreshed. We had to refresh the servers.
They talked about this in part
somehow
one.
Changed all the trades, right?
And not only were the stories shady, when I asked the roommate about it, he told me about a very strange conversation he overheard.
I was in my room one day and I overheard a conversation and I thought I caught something about B-booking, switching people from A-book to B-book. And so I asked Dave about it and he blatantly said to me, he's like, yeah, if people are going to be losing, we might as well B-book them because we're just leaving money on the table.
Damn.
It was kind of a shock to me because that's, kind of went against everything that they had sort of built this platform on. So
I wonder how much time had elapsed from the time that they had started this project where they say their intentions were to look out for the little guy, and how much time had elapsed before they're like, oh, we're going to switch to, you know, a B book and pretty much scam our clients or bet against our clients.
I just didn't really know how to take that, but I just took it for what it was.
Wow, if this is true, this means their whole story is fake. But of course, claiming this is a pretty huge accusation, and I didn't want to do it on the word of just one person, because it would mean that everything was built on lies and fraud. So I wanted more proof.
That's why
to
Coffee
do
is the
this,
goat.
I set up a Discord channel to investigate Trader's Domain
Smart.
and invited all the victims to come share with me what they had found. And soon, many of them started sharing evidence, including a document which they said would prove that they were B-booking. These people showed me an invoice from a platform called B2Broker, addressed to Trader's Domain FX, which had a very important line item. Quote, minimum monthly payment for the use of B-book service. Why would Trader's Domain need to pay for a B-book service if they were able?
For that fake internal
now, of
network.
course, we also need to talk about who is B2Broker. They call themselves a white label solution
They're
for
scammers. They help the
brokerages
scammer.
and exchanges, which simply means they sell a
Crypto
brokerage product
processing.
that you can slap your name on. And it appears that this is exactly what Ted Safranco did, which means that the back end of Trader's Domain and what Ted is even selling is just a rebranded product. So we'll put B2Broker on the board over here because they're going to be key to understanding this whole scam. Because as I found more of these invoices, I realized B2Broker may have helped facilitate this whole thing. All apparently for the low price of $1,000 a month for this fee. Now, what these several invoices do is not only corroborate the story the roommate was telling us about B-booking, it means that the trades and the crazy returns are all likely fake. It was all a fraud based on a software Ted himself never even built. And of course, now the question is, okay, if the trades are fake, where did the money go? Because the investment money was very much real, even if the trades were fake. We know for a fact that over $100 million was invested based on the CFTC's estimate, but based on what I have, I think it's significantly more. Either way, we're talking about an extremely large amount of cash. So it had to go somewhere. I mean, we know from our first episode that a lot of it went to this company called CCAP Holdings, but what happened after that? As I began to ask myself this question, I was contacted by an anonymous source who found out that I was investigating. As I said, I had made it public at that point, and they told me they had a friend who might know something more.
Wow.
Something that could, quote, show B-book activities, money laundering, and fake invoices.
These guys,
They asked if I was interested. Of course, I.
You have your clever criminals who they're very clever on covering up their tracks and getting rid of stuff. These guys maybe got a little bit lucky, and then word of mouth and, you know, sending money. They were giving some money back to people, making it look like they were 4xing their money or 3xing. So then word would get back and more money would come in. But these guys left a lot of evidence, it seems. It seems like there's a lot out there that is proving their guilt. I don't know. What a bunch of dumbasses.
I was. And when this friend got in touch, they claimed to have literally 2,000 plus files and documents on Trader's Domain.
Oh my
I was a little skeptical at first, but when the files showed up, even I was surprised.
Is that the robot? Oh, thanks, YouTube. Everybody, thank YouTube for another ad. Hey, Charlie. Hashtag winning. Hashtag cancer. Gigabytes of data.
It took me weeks to go through all the documents. But eventually, a pattern started to emerge. The more I pulled on the threads, the more I realized this was all connected. All right, I think I get it. I think I understand how Trader's Domain took in money. If you look at our old understanding of the company, we had the basics, but we're missing several things, okay? It starts with the sponsors. They were micro celebrities or influential people who were paid very well to bring in investors, money.
Yes.
And the more you brought in, the more you were paid, which was actually
Sponsors.
explained to me by a sponsor who
Yeah.
had $10 million underneath him. So you've got $10 million under you that's locked up. How many does the guy above you have?
He won't even tell me, but millions. He was getting like probably $500,000 a month just in payouts. Like I was doing well out there. I was getting paid like 20,000-30,000 a month.
All right, so these sponsors would get a cut of the money that they brought in, which meant that they went out and flexed on social media to bring in more clients. Some bragged about yachts, some invited people to DM them for 10% monthly ROI deals. Either way, once the...
Man, I got to say, so first of all, you got to give credit to Coffeezilla. This is why he's the best. I mean, he really takes his time, and I can just imagine how long these investigations actually do take him behind the scenes. I know he's got a lot of haters, but I think those haters probably are the ones that he's exposing. The other thing is, it's the influencer business. It just is so slimy, a lot of it, and it kind of ruins it for the real ones. I mean, there are so many like NFT projects and like rug pulls in general. I mean, look at the Fire Festival. You know, these people will essentially promote anything for a price, and you can't blame them, because if someone offers you a bag, you're going to take it, right? I'm going to take the bag. And I mean, it's pretty hard to know what's going to happen except in hindsight. So they might tell you it's a really good product, or it's a really good project, or it's a really good festival. Just go out there and pump it up for us. You know, you can't blame them, but my God, it is a slimy, slimy business. It really is.
The victims were on the hook, they would be instructed to go one of two payment routes. The first option was cash. They would wire money to a US-based bank like CCAP Holdings with a generic memo that said services and definitely not Forex or investments, because that would trigger red flags.
Sure.
And once word went out that the wire had been sent, before the money even got there, Trader's Domain would immediately credit them on the back end with fake money, which we know from interviews I did.
He would credit my account without ever having any money before I ever gave him money. You know what I mean?
So the numbers were there before you ever got...
Before I ever paid for anything.
So that day, I get a Trader's Domain confirmation, and it shows up in my Trader's Domain, $500,000 sitting in my account. The next day, Chase calls me, and they go, "Oh, we just want to verify this is you." And I'm like, "Oh, you haven't released the wire?"
Oh my God. So they had credited your account before the money had ever hit?
Yeah, before the money had ever hit.
All right, but if the money on Trader's Domain was fake, where did the real money go? Well, I believe they had a money laundering operation to get the money offshore. This is based on a series of invoices I was given showing money being sent
Shell
from
companies.
onshore banks, Ted Safranco, David Negus,
like shell
Tran
companies.
controlled, like Sag Capital. And then they would send that to offshore companies, shell companies, which were very suspicious. For example, we found invoices sending $100,000 to a company called Safe Seal Technology. Why? In another one, they sent $1 million to Discover Tour Plus. Now, this one in particular had a website, and if you go to discovertourplus.com, they claim to be a travel agency, but there's nothing to actually buy. I tried booking my own vacation, which I desperately need at this point because I'm way too deep in this investigation, but none of the links would let me book. So this website appears to just be a front for funneling millions of dollars offshore. Besides, who even pays $1 million to a travel agency if you're a Forex investment company? Especially does that multiple times.
Yeah.
Of course, the alternate explanation is that the reason you might send money from a shell company in the US to an offshore shell company is to launder that money, because then you can now declare that $1 million the travel agency took in the result of a bustling business instead of fraud. Now, that's my theory, but we have dozens of these invoices which seem to confirm it. And you might expect that this was the main way Trader's Domain moved large chunks of cash, but you'd be wrong. Because in 2023, laundering money through banks is like communicating
Crypto,
with smoke
right?
signals
Listen,
instead of text.
Before he even says it, I mean, it's got to be crypto. And in this day and age, I don't understand why more criminals aren't using services like tumblers. Tumblers are something essentially the clean crypto goes in. People could even track that on the blockchain. It gets cycled around with a bunch of other Bitcoins that aren't yours. And then out the other end to an address that you've requested comes the majority percentage of clean money. And again, it's very hard to track because the dirty money goes in along with a whole bunch of other money, and then some clean money comes out to a bunch of addresses, and one of those being yours. So I don't understand why more people don't do that. You're going to lose a percentage. It's going to give you a little bit more anonymity. And if you really want to do it again, if you really want to increase the level of anonymity, you would maybe send it through a second tumbler. You would lose a lot of percentage along the way, but you're going to leave less of a paper trail, and it's going to be very hard to track. Obviously, a guy like Coffee would know that. And I'm surprised that more criminals aren't using those methods. I know some tumblers have shut down. And also, you're going to need access to a lot of clean money, but that shouldn't be a problem.
Messages. No, the
As a
real
tumbler,
way
you
to
need
launder
clean
money has changed. Today, it's crypto.
Boom.
So this brings us to option 2 of how to move money.
Yeah.
Crypto is the main way Traders Domain.
I wonder if people
money.
are doing it with
It was perfect
NFTs
for them,
now.
and it was the main way they
They're just so
circumvented
volatile.
regulation. Recall at the beginning of this show, I told you that offshore companies couldn't solicit U.S. investors.
Yeah.
But Traders Domain told people that up front. They said, quote, Traders Domain does not solicit U.S. clients.
Come on.
However, they would claim underneath that, quote, just to note, we have crypto accounts available.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is sort of like saying, hey, we don't let in U.S. clients through
But
the
hey,
front
there's
door.
the
But
back
just
door.
to note,
Yeah.
we have a back door. Because when you went to their website to sign up, I
My
kid you
word,
not,
this guy.
as country of origin, you could select your country as the country of crypto, which,
Whoa.
unsurprisingly, some people actually did.
One of the early things that felt weird to me is that you couldn't register as a U.S. citizen on his website. It was crypto. You had to go in as a crypto user. I can still show you on my account where I'm listed as a crypto user and not a U.S. citizen.
That is clearly
That
illegal.
guy looks depressed
But
as
the
fuck.
reason it matters is not that they circumvented regulation. People do that all the time. It's the scale this was all happening on. This wasn't a few dollars. This is hundreds of millions. I mean, a single one of their payment processors in crypto complained in a recent lawsuit that the founder believed that, quote, the Traders Domain is clearly a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
They've moved over $50 million in cryptocurrency and U.S. currency directly to the Traders Domain systems. Not only that, a different payment processor also had their transaction data with Traders Domain leaked to us. With the help of a blockchain intelligence company called Crystal Blockchain, we traced even more money that had come in. According to them, roughly 450 million went into Traders Domain. And that combined with the 50 million from that other crypto payment processor is where we arrived to our 500.
See, again, I don't understand. You went through all this trouble to take money from clients you weren't supposed to take. So you accept crypto, allow crypto as a country, and then it seems like they start to do a little bit of good work as the scam goes on, but then they get lazy. They don't launder the money. They're clearly using the same addresses over and over. Like, it just, I don't know. It seems really, really stupid. Nowadays, with so many options available to these criminals, I'm really surprised that they don't just do a little more due diligence, maybe be a little less greedy when it comes to willing to forfeit some of those fees. So, if you put $1 million into a tumbler, you might lose, I don't know, I've never used one, but I'm going to guess like 5%, maybe 10%. But having 900K to a brand new wallet at an exchange that you can maybe cash out or whatever, compared to having $1 million and everybody can see where that money went, like Coffee just pulled up on a spreadsheet. I mean, the evidence becomes a rap sheet instead of maybe like a little tiny footnote.
$100 million estimate. Now,
Stupid.
bear in mind, This is just crypto. This is not talking about fiat here. And this is real money that went in, not fake Ponzi gains. And at this point in the investigation, I'm feeling pretty confident. We have two really big things. The first is that the scale of this thing is huge, probably bigger than even the government
and you figured out how it's
believes it
working.
is. But I also feel extremely confident we have proof of fraud.
Yeah.
And the only thing left to do is confront the man behind it all, Ted Safranco.
Ooh, buddy.
And this is also the thing that I've been putting off doing the whole time, to be honest, because the entire investigation, as I spoke to people, I was warned not to reach out because Ted was well known for going after anyone who went after his brokerage. He allegedly said things like, quote, "You want to come after my brokerage, you have a death wish," in messages.
Listen,
and I am going to put a...
Outside of having money, this guy looks like he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag, not to judge a book by its cover. But this guy looks like what I said before, an average Joe. He might know, some jiu-jitsu or karate or Muay Thai or something. But I mean, come on. Look at that photo right there and tell me you're going to be scared of that guy, especially if you're an American citizen and, maybe you've got a gun at home or something. If this guy comes after you, whether he's spending money on it or whatever, that guy's going to scare you? Please.
Bounty on your head. There were a lot more of these. And of course, he also famously threatened people on video.
I'd take a flight to the UK right now and just fucking show up and curb stomp their heads. Yeah, I get arrested. So what?
This dude doesn't look like he could curb stomp a Big Mac.
I win because they're dead.
So yeah, the guy is kind of a psycho. So I was very nervous about doing this. And so I decided to go to the bar and get me a little bit of liquid courage.
Come on, Coffee. You've been sitting here for 2 hours.
I give
Are you
this
gonna do
guy,
it or
yo,
not?
listen. For this, I don't know if, I'm guessing it's CGI that he's put together or whatever it is. He must have a background or he paid for this. As lame as it might seem at times, it's really impressive. It really, really is.
Give me this one more shot, okay? And then I'll do it. Here goes nothing.
Oh my God. Prepare for this shit show.
Come on, Ted.
Oh, Ted's picking up.
I bet you he's not even gonna answer.
Answer the... Come on.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. Please record your message.
I knew it. That settles that. You want another drink?
I guess so.
I hope he left.
You
Like,
humans
obviously
are
they
such
talk.
odd creatures. You were nervous about calling, yet you seem upset he didn't answer?
I was concerned. I mean, but once I was committed, I don't know. It just feels a little anticlimactic, I guess.
Maybe it's for the best. Not everything has a Hollywood ending. You do the best you can, and sometimes you have to enjoy a consolation prize.
What's that?
How about a drink with a friend?
Wait, I thought you couldn't drink.
Take the shot, Coffee.
All right.
It's very cool. Very cool. So we know part 3 is gonna have this dude. I mean, 100%.
I've known for a while. My dear, if you keep
This dude is solid with putting together a video. He really is.
I'll unravel in your head.
Is this gonna be it's gonna be Teddy Boy. Ooh, buddy.
Hello?
Oh.
Before we continue, obviously I've spoken to my counsel. We know about your YouTube channel now. We reviewed it. I mean, there's really nothing of substance on there, to be honest. I think it's more of a glorified clickbait channel.
I'm in chats right now on Telegram. He's still in there actively saying that he's trading.
You can think anything you want. You can turn around and say that I am gaming the system, I'm gaming my followers.
That is such a chicken response from a total coward. No accountability at all.
I'm the enemy of the state for most people because of what I do and how I do it.
Nobody knows anything about his wife because they don't have the resources that I have. My resources can find out every little
Seriously,
thing about you.
shit, bro. That's crazy.
You will see the amount of destruction I leave.
Dude's got mental problems for sure. B2B Broker was asked for comment. Here's their response. We fully support individuals who are fighting against scams and any illegal or unethical schemes. As soon as we became aware of the negative information concerning, hold on, I got to go back just 1 second. It was a little too fast. Concerning Trader's Domain, we conducted a comprehensive internal compliance check and we promptly terminated our agreement with them. So what I get from B2 Broker is that they're saying they looked into it and they thought there was enough evidence or enough, there was enough there to essentially cut ties with them. But B2 Broker seems to be very complicit, but you know, it's, what do I know? Very interesting. Very well done. Definitely looking forward to part 3. I want to see the interview with this clown. Very cool way to do all the Patreons. Wow. I would love to know how much hard work it takes for the average case. I saw him on Joe Rogan, and I don't really recall them talking about how long it takes to put together a video rather an investigation.
The idea of having...
But it's very impressive. But if you made it this far, I really appreciate it, guys, gals. And I will review part 3 or react to part 3 when it comes out. Very well done. It's, you know, it all jives. I mean, it all makes sense. A lot of it's common sense once he starts putting the pieces together and kind of peeling back the onion. I mean, it makes sense. So have this guy, this dickhead, you know, come on. It's going to be interesting to see how he can kind of explain everything. Especially if there are some sponsors who have come forward. There's data leaks of gigabytes. Should be interesting. But I fully expect it to be nothing but combative and just trying to evade questions or backtracking or... But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Please subscribe to me on YouTube if you haven't already. Sub to me. I said subscribe. Yeah, I'm old. What of it? And go check me out on kick.com, DiggityWiggityWaaa. And check out the other streamers on kick.com. Brand new platform. It's awesome. I really appreciate you guys checking this channel out, watching the video. And yeah, go show love to Coffee. He's amazing. He's very good at what he does. Check him out on Joe Rogan. And I'll be back for part 3. Bye.